Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Horizon Europe Cluster 4 Info Days. It's great to see so many of you joining us online from across Europe and possibly beyond. Whether you're connecting early in the morning, later in the day, or even joining us tomorrow, thank you for taking the time to be with us. These Info Days are taking place fully online and are live streamed via WebEx. All sessions are being recorded, so if you miss anything or would like to revisit a presentation, the recordings will be made available on the event webpage shortly after the event. Over the next 2 days, we'll guide you through the upcoming calls under Cluster 4 covering digital, industry, and space. Today's agenda is structured around two key destinations. We'll begin with leadership and materials and production for Europe, looking at advanced sustainable materials, industrial technologies, circularity, and support for innovation and scale-up. In the afternoon, we'll move to the space destination, focusing on Europe's strategic autonomy in space infrastructure, technologies, and applications. You hear directly from colleagues working on the programs, followed by detailed presentation on the calls, and time for questions and answers. I encourage you to use Slido throughout the session so we can address as many of your questions as possible. Before we get into the substance, it's my pleasure to hand over to Kathleen Engelbusch, Head of Department B for Digital Industry and Space at HaDEA, who will deliver the opening remarks and officially welcome you on behalf of the Commission. Kathleen, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Derek, for introducing me. And ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you so much for being with us today. So on behalf of HaDEA, the European Health and Digital Executive Agencies, I'm very pleased to welcome you to this Info Day, and this is all about the 2026 goals for Horizon Europe Cluster 4. And I can already tell you now that the budget is quite substantial, because the overall budget for Cluster 4 of Horizon Europe for 2026 exceeds 815 million euros, nearly 816 million actually. So HaDEA is very much committed to implement a large part of Horizon Europe Cluster 4. You probably all know that we don't do this on our own. We have other bodies, other institutions implementing Cluster 4 of Horizon Europe, but we do a big part actually. And we don't do this on our own. We do this very closely with various Commission departments. We're actually working closely together. They design the programs, the policy, and we implement. And the four Commission DGs with whom we work most for Cluster 4 are DG RTD, the DG for Research and Innovation, DG Connect, the DG for Communication Networks, Content and Technology, then DG Defis, responsible for Defense, Industry and Space, and then DG Grow, responsible for the internal market, industry, entrepreneurship, and SMEs. So Derek already said it, we have carefully prepared these 2 days, and what can you get out of it? I mean, what is our objective? So first of all, we want to explain to our potential applicants the topics. We have colleagues explaining to you what are the topics exactly about. Then we want to talk to you about the processes, because the evaluation, the award processes are important, and it's very good that you understand exactly how this is all being run. And then we also want to give you a forum where you can ask your queries and where you can actually take away some of the doubts that you may have. So the role of our stakeholders, meaning you, is very important to make these 2 days a success. And therefore, each voice, each ID is important. Collaboration is key. And I'm also referring in this context to the brokerage initiatives that are being organized by your NCPs, by the national contact points for Cluster 4 of Horizon Europe. Derek already said it, today we focus on industry and space, tomorrow on digital and data. And when we talk about industry, then we want to emphasize opportunities for developing a digital, low carbon and circular industry. And also we want to focus on a sustainable supply of raw materials, which is really one of the key policies of the European Commission, understandable if you see it in the context of the current geopolitical environment. For space, we will actually explain to you the opportunities that there are regarding access to space, acting in space, also using space on Earth, and I'm thinking about telecommunications and Earth observation, but also about space science, data exploitation, critical technology development, all for the non-independence of Europe, for the independence, sorry, the non-dependence of Europe. So tomorrow, then we will talk about digital and about data, which absolutely are key enablers. So finally, let me also add that HaDEA is not only implementing part of the programs of Horizon Europe Cluster 4. Just for your information, most of you may know it, but for those who don't, we also implement Cluster 1 of Horizon, which is the cluster dealing with health. We also have a program called EU for Health. Then we also implement a good part of the DEP program, the DEP standing for the Digital Europe program, which is not so much an R&I program, but rather a deployment program. Then we have the CEF program. The CEF is standing for the Connecting Europe Facility, which is also a deployment program and all about European connectivity infrastructure. And what we also try to do is to find synergies between all of these programs in order to reinforce the objectives one to another. I will stop here, but I will not do this before extending my sincere gratitude to all the colleagues, my colleagues in HaDEA, but also the colleagues from the various Director Generals in the Commission. They have been working together to make you a nice program today, and without them, this would not have been possible. To conclude, what I would like to encourage you is to explore, to engage, to innovate, to transform the ideas that you have today into projects of tomorrow for a better Europe. So good luck, and I give now the floor back to Derek. Thank you.
Welcome to our Horizon Europe Info Days on Cluster 4, Digital, Industry and Space. Today and tomorrow, we will present to you the 2026 topics in the new work program 2026-2027. This cluster addresses the three core areas of the new competitiveness compass. First of all, closing the innovation gap through innovative technologies geared towards deployment. Secondly, supporting decarbonization and competitiveness through focused industrial technologies. And thirdly, supporting sovereignty and resilience by reducing excessive dependencies and increasing security. In this work program, we have adopted new approaches as a bridge towards the next framework program. In particular, I would like to stress enhanced synergies amongst the various industrial partnerships with joint topics, further simplification, including topics that are less prescriptive in terms of technologies with corresponding larger budgets, and a substantial and coordinated research and innovation contribution to the Clean Industrial Deal, with an emphasis on deployment-ready technologies and to artificial intelligence in science, complementing other activities on developing and applying AI. This morning, my colleagues will present the industry-related part of the cluster, the new destination, leadership in materials and production for Europe, will support the twin and green transition and digital for a globally competitive European industry, and the availability, development, use, disposal of chemicals, advanced materials, and critical raw materials. Let me also share with you some encouraging findings from the interim evaluation of Horizon Europe, which was completed last year. These findings show the benefits for project participants. In particular, partners in Horizon Europe have already mobilized an additional 10 billion euros to deploy results. This is really a considerable increase compared to the same stage in Horizon 2020, where just over 5 billion euros were mobilized. Although registering innovation outputs takes time, the results at this early stage in terms of patent applications, trademarks, and utility designs already exceed significantly those from the same stage of Horizon 2020. So far, under Horizon Europe, 3,700 innovative products, processes, or methods had been produced and reported by the projects. 3 different economic models predict around 10 billion euros in GDP gain by 2030 as a result of Horizon Europe funding. With these encouraging results, I wish you all the best for your efforts in this joint European endeavour.
Good morning. I hope we can hear each other and see each other. Welcome to the Horizon Europe Cluster 4 Information Days for 2026 work program. My name is Marko Casanowski, and I will be moderating this morning session dedicated to destination leadership and in materials and production for Europe. We will run this morning session until noon, with a little break between 10:35 and 10:45. And during this session, of course, as mentioned earlier, you will receive an overview of the call topics from several policy officers of the European Commission. You are also invited to engage actively via Slido. Please submit your questions throughout the session, and we will address as many as possible questions during the question and answers as part of the session. With that, let me introduce our first speaker for today in this destination. That is our colleague from Directorate General for Research and Innovation, Gerbingiu Echebarria. She will present a topic on development of safe and sustainable alternatives to substances of concern, innovation action. Gerbine, good morning, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, Marco, and good morning, everybody. Many thanks to Marco for the kind introduction. So let's start this presentation of topics, and this is the first one that I wanted to walk you through, which is the development of safe and sustainable alternatives to substances of concern. So if I may have, okay, super. So basically here, what we have is a topic that has a total EU budget of 38 million euros, and EU contribution expected for projects going between 6 and 7.5 million euros. That means that we should be able to finance around 6 projects, which is, you see how large this topic is, because we are talking about alternatives or substances of concern in general. So it's really worth that we are able to finance quite a number of topics. This is really good news. The topic starts on TRL 5. So that means at the beginning of the topic of the proposal, the technology should be validated in relevant environment, and at the end of the project, we're expecting to reach TRL 7. That means that the system prototype demonstration in the environmental and operational environment should be there. For the expected outcomes, as we were saying in the topic text, is to make safer, more sustainable alternatives to substances of concern available to the industry, speeding up the innovation cycle within value chains that are important for the European industry, and within the scope we mentioned which those value chains are, enhancing the competitiveness of industries by reducing regulatory and operational costs. Here I wanted to make the to punctualize that when we are saying reducing regulatory costs, we mean the fact that you are looking to substances which are safer and more sustainable from the beginning, you will be better prepared to what can be regulatory burdens and then reduce regulatory costs. Production processes, chemicals and materials and products that are inherently safer and more sustainable, and I could come back to this and then demonstrating how SSBD framework can guide innovation. If I go to the scope, well, you have the text of the scope, so I will not go one by one on the text, but just maybe to signal some key aspects. What we are saying in this topic is that we are looking for alternatives for substitution of substances of concern as defined on the design for sustainable product regulation. And we are giving there the link to this eco-design text. And it's important because on the eco-design for sustainable product regulation, we are taking really a broad approach of substances of concern. For example, then the substances that will inhibit circularity, are they considered substances of concern? So I advise you to have a look at this before you start putting together proposals. Then what we are saying is that we are looking for alternatives, and these alternatives could have the form of new chemical substances, innovative materials, but also technologies. So we are not looking only substitution of a substance of concern of a chemical by another chemical, but we are having a broader view looking at advanced materials and also technologies. What the topic says is that you should be looking at substances of concern on one of the following areas, and we are mentioning energy, mobility, construction, etc. A question that we have often is, can we look to more than one area? Of course, we are giving here examples. You could look to one of more of these areas, but pay attention, because really what we are asking here is very ambitious. We are asking you that first you propose alternatives that have a clear use, a market and a potential for growth. We are asking you that you include all the necessary developments of the related process of technologies to assure that you are aligned and integrated on industrial manufacturing. And we are looking also that you look at think about the substitution barriers and you come with solutions to it. So it's really ambitious. And then if you are looking into application of one of these areas, it should be more than enough. What we are asking here also is that you demonstrate that the SSBD framework is applied. What I wanted to punctualize here is that the SSBD framework, we have a version of the 2022 that is publicly available, but we are now reviewing the Commission recommendation for the SSBD. It's going to come end of February. Don't be worried. At the end of the day, this new framework that is coming right now is a continuation what existed on the 2022. So if you based the first submission of the submission of the first stage on what is available on SSBD framework and the SSBD recommendation of 2022 is more than enough. And what is important maybe also here is that we are asking the proposals to think, and we encourage them to cooperate with other SSBD projects. We have had several topics on the past that were looking to alternatives, and it's the moment to start harvesting and networking and clustering, if possible, these projects. So please have a look at it. And we are also asking that you think about the EU innovation and substitution hubs, how you could cooperate or contribute to these hubs. Again, these hubs were announced on the Chemical Industry Action Plan, and for the moment there is not much information on the form they will take, but by all means we encourage you to have provisions of how this cooperation could be built. And maybe the last thing I wanted to say there is that what we were saying is that the GRC participation could be considered, and this is it, could be considered, not obligation, not extra points for having GRC on the proposal. So only add them if you think there is an added value there. And I think with this, I walked you through what I wanted to say, but I stay here. And if you have any specific question, I will be more than happy to give an answer later on. Thank you. Thank you, Marco. Give the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Garbine, for your clear overview. Uh, we will now continue with a new colleague on different topics. Before we go there, I would just like to mention that any questions that are not topic related, so questions about eligibility, etc., will be dealt with at the horizontal sessions that will happen tomorrow. So we invite you to submit your questions for the specific topics that are currently being presented. So my next colleague who will present two topics is also colleague from Director General for Research and Innovation, Vide Hogenhout. Hello, are you with us?
Right.
Hello?
Oh, thank you. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We can
Okay.
see you. The next two topics are with you, and please take the floor.
Okay. So thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. And yeah, it's my pleasure to present to you two topics. The first topic is this one, accelerating the discovery and development of chemicals and innovative advanced materials through digitalization and artificial intelligence. Now, this is, of course, a topic which has been attracting a lot of attention. In fact, in December, we organized a workshop, an online workshop together with the OECD, and we had hundreds of online participants. And of course, if you've been following the media, maybe you've also seen that, for example, big US companies are announcing the many results they're having by applying AI to material science. So about this topic, as you can see here, the indicative budget is 50 million euros. We expect that one project will require about 13 million, so that is in the order of 3 projects that we would select. They're research and innovation actions, and they should start from TRL 5, and they should come to TRL 7 by the end of the project. The expected outcomes, you see them here. First of all, we want to accelerate the discovery and development process of innovative advanced materials and chemicals through digital tools. So the idea, the scope is digital tools, proofs of concept. Is of course big interested in workflows, innovative workflows, but also repeatable workflows, so that if, for example, one researcher on one side of Europe starts to do a particular workflow, that somebody else can continue with that work because there's interoperability, there is a fixed workflow that people know of each other what they're doing, that data can be reused and so forth. Such workflows include then design of experiment, designs of simulations, and all sorts of other things that you could imagine. Also, this topic should support the operationalization of the SSBD framework and really drive the innovation of risk assessment. Projects should include demonstrators, so we'd like to see what actually works at the end of the project. Helping to make a step change in the risk assessment of chemicals and advanced materials in Europe. There's also an interest in digital feedback loops, so that once you're, let's say, further down in the process of innovation and you discover that, for example, some things are, for example, not producible, not scalable, that this can be fed back to the earlier stages, so that people working at the earlier stages have a feedback on what is actually working, what is actually useful. Of course, one element here is also ontologies. Using common ontologies, common data formats is something that helps to make data understandable to others, to help make sure that others can read data, can process your data. Making tools which are modular so that they can be reused. Also, this creates, let's say, a reduction of risk, because if people know that the kind of tool they're making is interoperable, can be reused by others, then they know that there's more chance that this will actually be picked up, or they know that they will have more opportunities to exploit it. The call text also invites you for synergies, for example, with the Materials Commons for Europe. That is a project we're launching on the digitalization of the R&I in advanced materials. Another possible synergy is with the common data platform for chemicals, and also with the SSBD toolboxes that are around. And also this one calls for a possible collaboration with the JRC. This is not required, it is not exactly points, but they could certainly contribute on the organization of the SSBD framework. If we could go to the next slide. Now, this topic is on cooperation with Japan. Here we've launched a enhanced dialogue with Japan. This was launched in 2024. Because there's a lot of, let's say, mutual benefits to collaborating. There are complementary expertise in Europe and in Japan. So there's a lot of interest from our side, but also from the side of the Japanese government. In fact, in this context, we've set up an expert group that made recommendations on areas where they see really opportunities for collaboration. This has been published by the Commission, but at the same time by the Japanese government. So this is 2 times exactly the same document. As you can see, the Japanese government was more effective in making an easily rememberable web address. Now, this action actually is to support European researchers to make a visit to a Japanese counterpart. Visits of up to 1 month where they can collaborate. This can be about a new collaboration or existing collaboration. Now, I want to stress that this call is for a party that wants to organize a cascading call. So you're not supposed to apply to this call with one specific visit to say, I want to go and visit that particular town in Japan, but rather that you're going to take this budget of 800,000 million and then organize a call to give out small grants to people who travel to Japan. So make sure that if you want to submit to this call, you submit a proposal for organizing such a call. And then in terms of topics, the call text says that there should be about mobility, energy, construction, medical devices, electronics, and of course it is about advanced materials. So in each of these areas, advanced materials and how they can support application in those areas. So that's all I have to say on this topic. So with that, I'll hand over to the next speaker.
Thank you very, very much for the clear overview. Needless to say, for further details, we encourage you to consult the Horizon Europe Work Program 2026 and the topics text that is published on Fundings and Tender portal. But it's time to move on. I kindly invite my colleague Emilia Klesha from Directorate General Connect, who will
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Welcome. And the floor is yours. Yes.
Thank you, Marco, for the introduction. So I'm going to present you the only topic in this work program under the heading of Innovative Advanced Material-Based Technologies. So it is focused on new or enhanced innovative advanced materials enable sensing functionalities. The expected outcome are listed here. So it's about new technological solution with improved performance and reduced energy consumption and environmental impact, providing significant advances toward the emergence of a competitive value chains in innovative advanced material-based sensing components. The second one is also the widespread adoption of the low-cost innovative advanced material-based sensing solution for various applications, e.g. in environmental monitoring or also industrial safety and next-generation smart sensing. Sorry. The scope is twofold, and I would like to precise that the proposal may address one or the two of this area, but it should be made clear which area is the main one that is targeted. So the first one is the innovative advanced material enable multifunctional surfaces able to detect and respond to change in the environment. And as such, they should convert as multifunctional surface, they should be able to convert this signal into the measurable outputs. The surfaces should demonstrate also high performance in terms of sensitivity and selectivity, durability and cost effectiveness. We are talking here about technologies and sensors and not about the materials per se. The second area is the development of these enhanced innovative advanced material-based sensors demonstrators, and enabling here the miniaturization and integration into application systems. They must meet the key performance requirements, such as the compatibility with silicon technologies, but also operation in real conditions with low power consumption again and high sensitivity. As I said, the proposal absolutely need to precise in which of this area they will be based. The indicative budget for this topic is 22.5 million, and the expected contribution per project is set 7 to 5 million. It's a research and innovation action, and the activity should start at TRL 3 and achieve TRL 5 or 6 by the end of the project. I would like also to stress that these TRLs applies to the demonstrator and the surfaces, not to the development of the material per se. We are under the heading and under the Innovative Advanced Material Partnership. So it is about developing or using innovative advanced material, and they should demonstrate why they are innovative, this material, but this topic is really targeting the sensing solution. So the TRL apply to the sensing solution itself. And with this, I think I have finished. Voilà. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Emilia, for your clear presentation. Just a little a reminder for those who join maybe a little bit later. We are in the info session of Horizon Europe Cluster 4, Destination Leadership in Materials and Production in Europe. Next, I'm pleased to welcome Nicholas Delianakis from Directorate General Research and Innovation, who will present the following topic. Before that, I kindly invite you to submit your questions via Slido. Please enter your name if you wish, of course, and please choose the correct room, that is industry, and indicate the topic of your question. And after the questions, of course, we will continue with Nicholas's presentation. So I kindly ask Garbine, Vide, and Emily to stay alert for any questions they may have. Okay, we already have a first question. I think this question goes to Vide for his second topic. Are Japanese organizations eligible to get funding under this topic? If I am not mistaken, yes, this is Vide. It's your topic.
Okay. So in general, eligibility questions is a horizontal question that will be dealt with later, but I just want to stress for this topic that it is aimed for European researchers to visit Japan. So the idea is to fund a visit to Japan. So it is not aimed for example, to fund Japanese organizations what they're doing on a daily basis, or for Japanese researchers to visit Europe. Can I also answer the second question?
Yes, the second question is a topic of advanced materials, also materials production 24. Must this be open for all IAMs, or can it be selective for specific advanced materials, for example, nanomaterials?
There is no specific requirement that it must be open to all materials, so it can be on a specific classes of materials. On the other hand, there is, of course, as I mentioned, there should be an open call where people can apply for such a funding visit. So if this is on a very narrow area of materials, then there is, of course, the risk that you will not get enough proposals, not enough people willing to travel because there maybe not be enough people working on that very specific material. So I think that's a trade-off to make. If you make it too narrow, you may not get the right number of applicants.
Thank you. The third question is also for you. So your topic number 24 is very popular. Provide travel grants, so a lump sum grant or refund of actual costs, a daily rate to cover expenses and accommodation for the duration of the stay up to 1 month. I'm not sure if this question is really topic related, or it's more for horizontal sessions. What do you think?
I would say this is more for horizontal sessions.
Okay.
Really about the details of the contract.
I kindly ask the person who has asked this question to join the horizontal session tomorrow, and the answer will be provided. Then we have a question for topic number 21. Garbiñe, this is for you.
Yes, indeed, and it's a very good question, because it's true that we have 6 target areas, and we were saying that we are going to estimate that we can finance 6 projects. So the question is, are we going to finance 1 project per area? And the answer is no, not necessarily. This is not a portfolio approach project where we are trying to maximize the coverage of the areas. No, projects are going to be in direct competition, respectively, which are the areas. So we may end up with 2 or 3 projects on electronics, to say something, and no one on medical devices, just to give examples. So the short answer is no.
Okay, clear. Next question, Vida, it's for you. Oh, no, I apologize. It's again for you, Garbiñe. Is optics in the scope of the areas? Do you consider it
as part of electronics? I think it's up to the applicants to demonstrate whatever they want to do on in optics, where it relates to the areas that we have put on the proposal. For example, on the case of optics and electronics, you have clearly the optoelectronics, which are the electronic devices that can interact with light. So there, I will say yes. For the rest, they really need, depending on the ideas they have, to check how this relates to the areas we are proposing.
Okay, thank you. Next question, production 24, that's for Vida. What is seen as a research visit in the light of initiation of new collaboration or existing collaborations? A research project, a workshop for knowledge exchange and future collaboration?
So the context indicates visits for up to 1 month. So I don't think it's realistic to say we're going to start and finish a whole research project in 1 month. Really, this should be about getting some exchange. Indeed, you might use it to, in that period, organize a workshop or to do joint work. But this is really up to the proposers to see how to essentially organize that, but it has to be realistic within the scope of this such a visit.
Thank you. Next question is again for you. How to prove that Japanese organizations are willing to receive such visits? They must be a project partner with funding, that's a question, or an associated partner without funding, or provide letter of intent.
I think this is a confusion. The project, as I just mentioned, should organize a call so that people can apply for such a funding for such a visit. So the project itself should not be with a Japanese partner that's going to receive them. It should rather, the people who apply to it should then, when they apply, show that the receiving partner wants to actually receive them. Indeed, it can be with a letter of intent, but that's not for the project that applies to this call. That's for the cascading call.
Okay, I think this question
Same
has
question.
been simply answered just before. Please, for the next question. Okay, Garbiñe, this is for you. Can one project develop new chemical substances, IAMs, or technologies to replace existing SOCs in more than one targeted area?
So the focus of the question is, I think, something I explained before, but maybe it's not clear, so I go again. So what we were saying is we're looking for alternatives, so the substances of concern can be substituted by chemical substances, advanced materials, or technologies. 3 of them can be considered. And then can it be in one of the target, more than one of the target areas? Yes, it can be. But as I was saying before, we are very, very ambitious on what we want to do in these projects, and we are asking to have clear markets with potential growth. We are asking you to look at the technologies and to align how they can be integrated on industrial manufacturing, look at the barriers. So we are ambitious. If you manage to be at to the level of ambition that is needed and then target even more than one area, fantastic, but don't go for trade-offs. There's not going to give you an extra point to target more than one area, but certainly evaluators will be tough if you are not as ambitious as you should be.
Okay, thank you very much. 23, Vida, it's you again. Is it encouraged or considered a must to include in the consortium European HPC infrastructure, for example, AI factories?
The call text does not mention this as a must, so it's certainly not required. And apart from that, it is up to the proposers to create a consortium that they think fits best their proposal. So I don't think there's a general rule we can give here. It depends on what the proposal is trying to do.
Thank you very much. We have a question for Emily. If I'm not mistaken, 25 exactly. For example, environmental monitoring, industrial safety, and next generation smart sensing applications, including health monitoring, and, for example, interportable Internet of Things devices, lightweight wearables, and wearable systems. Are they only examples, aren't they? This is a question from Serhat. Emily, is the question clear for you? Emily, we cannot hear you. If you are muted, please unmute. Okay, I propose that we go to the next question and then we will come back when Emily reconnects. 23, Vida, it's for you again. Is the technological readiness level of 5 to 7 targeting the method of accelerating materials research or about the material developed with this approach?
I'm not sure I fully understand the question. Of course, we're looking at methods that accelerate the research innovation that happens in the area of advanced materials and also of chemicals, so that new materials can be, let's say, discovered, developed, produced more and more efficiently. So I'm not sure if that answered the question.
Okay. Okay, we go to 21. Garbiñe, this is for you. Compounds in the CLP list that have an industrial but not harmonized classifications, are they out of scope?
Yeah.
Garbiñe?
having a problem with my camera. This is really a very good question. So the compounds that are on the list of the classification, labeling and packaging of chemicals, but are not on the harmonized classification, so they may not be then on the list of the eco-design for sustainable product regulation. No, they are not out of scope, but I will advise them maybe if really this is the way you want to go, to link it to the more the nearest compound that appears on the ESPR, and then of course that you can also show why this is part of substances of concern. So I will say you will need to go to the extra mile, but I cannot say that that will be out of scope.
Thank you very much. Emily, are you connected? Yes. Okay, there was a question for your topic from Serhat. I guess she quotes the topic text, and then she asks, are these only examples, or?
And I confirm. They are only examples. It's not an exhaustive list when it's to provide indication or illustration of what is expected.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for
You're
your
welcome.
answer. I hope Serhat will be satisfied with the answer. And then we have a last question for this part of the session from Maria Salo. Several calls encourage international cooperation with countries holding EU strategic partnership, especially Ukraine. Is there any expected or recommended number of non-EU partners in a consortium? As this is not very much topic specific in terms of the four presented topics, I would say that this is maybe a question for horizontal session tomorrow, or by reading what you write inside, maybe this can be answered later today around 11:25 by our colleague Daniel Chosh from DigiGrow, because for sure at least one of his topics has this particular not requirement, but encouraging international cooperation with Ukraine. So Maria, at 11:25, please join Daniel's presentation and you will get an answer for this. But if you want more general answer, horizontal sessions tomorrow are the right place for you. Okay, thank you very much for your excellent questions, and to the speakers for their answers. Now I kindly invite my colleague Nicholas Delianakis from Directorate General Research and Innovation to present the topic on advanced manufacturing for key products, innovation action made in Europe partnership. After Nicholas, we'll have three more colleagues presenting additional four topics. Nicholas, it's a pleasure to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marco, and good morning. We will present now three topics that are focused on circularity, but not only, as you will see. Next slide, please. So the first topic is a topic of the partnership made in Europe, which is for advanced manufacturing, discrete manufacturing, and it is on advanced manufacturing for key products. Now, what are key products? There isn't an exact definition in the topic, but the idea is to support the manufacturing technologies as well as machinery for products that are high-tech and or products that rely on raw materials in which supply chains are critical. That is the rough definition given in the topic, and it is of course a wide one. It is in the spirit of the Draghi report. So we are looking for both technologies and equipment. And there is a strong focus, which is nevertheless not compulsory, on circularity, and that could be pursued either through the use of secondary raw materials, recycled materials, or in combination with innovative advanced materials that are incorporated in manufactured products. However, this topic, unlike others, is not focusing on the development of the advanced materials. Only it is very much a manufacturing topic. And the indicative budget is 38 million, with a recommended EU contribution per project 6 to 8 million. It is for innovation actions of fairly large projects, starting from technology readiness level at 5 and achieving 7 by the end of the project, which involves demonstrators in industrial contexts. In this topic, we use a portfolio approach in order to fund at least one proposal focusing on the automotive sector. And now, because manufacturing technologies may well be applicable to more than one sector, it could be that such a proposal might develop technologies that are relevant anywhere, but anyway, for the proposal to be eligible for the application of the portfolio approach, it has to focus on the automotive sector and, of course, pass the thresholds, the evaluation thresholds. This topic will be repeated in exactly the same form in 2027, albeit without the specific portfolio approach for the automotive sector. Although, of course, the automotive sector, like all others, can participate. Incidentally, the Made in Europe partnership is in general sector agnostic, and often we see that in projects the technologies that are developed are applicable to and indeed are applied to more than one sector. Also in this topic, we encourage explicitly international cooperation. However, when it comes to high-income countries, there is no funding, no EU funding. So in general, the participants are still expected to contribute, to participate in the project with their own funding. And this is what can be said about this topic, and I look forward to any questions on it. I see some already. We will deal with them after the next few topics.
Thank you very much, Nicholas, for your clear presentation. The next speaker is Alessandra Colli from Directorate General for Research and Innovation. Alessandra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marco, and good morning to everyone listening in. So we are now looking into the topic 04, optimize the usage of resources in circular economy. Is a research and innovation action, and it's dedicated to implement both the Clean Steel Partnership and the Process for Planet Partnership. The topic has a strong focus on optimizing the efficiency of material, water, and energy. The expected outcome of the topics that you can see listed on the slide, there are mainly 5, and now we will go through them. So we look into you addressing one or more, so at least is one that you need to address. And the expected outcomes, they go from enhanced technologies to improve material recycling and upcycling, to reduce dependencies in recycling and the optimization also of the recovery, because one of the main important aspects of this topic is to target the Europe independence in principle. So we want to become less dependent from imported materials, and for example, so in terms of energy, but also in terms of raw materials. Then we are also looking into minimize the use of the raw material, of course, including fresh water and energy, reduce the impact of impurities, because of course recovering it looks also in reducing the impact of impurities, but at the same time the reuse of waste can bring into the loop additional impurity that needs to be extracted for obtaining material property that are of a quality that is good for the market. And finally, the topic also target the cost efficiency of resources. So in principle, to reach a minimal energy used and optimize the use also of labor. The scope of the topic, as I mentioned before, is very strongly on minimizing the efficiency of materials, water, and energy. So really have so optimizing, not minimizing, but minimizing the use and optimizing the efficiency by using of recycling and upcycling of side stream and production and use waste. So it's really all dedicated in recovery, improving, and minimizing the use. Among the scope, as you have the text available, it is requested to address at least 3 points. And among the various points listed, you can see that there will be also to address, for example, the increase of share of sustainable feed stream, improve product design in a way that we can reduce the raw product intake, but increase the recycling and the upcycling into the product design and make it also easier to recycle and upcycle. Enhance existing technologies, of course, to increase the reuse of substances and increase maybe the optimize also the efficiency of the technologies themselves. Recover relevant secondary raw material, reduce the use of scarce or critical raw material, reduce the number of manufacturing steps, which is also very important, understand the effect of specific contaminants in the property of materials. And for this reason, also the last point in the scope is, where relevant, of course, include analytical techniques for micro or nano characterization of material. Aspects that are important to mention in addition for this topic is to showcase improved performance, scalability, and cost efficiency of the proposed solution through at least one case of laboratory level pilot scale. So this is mentioned, but for the part of digitalization is also possible to include, but it doesn't have to be targeted independently in the topic. The reintegration of side streams in the production cycle can take place between one sector or across sector. And last but not least, that is also very important to consider in the topic also the impact of regulations. And this is also at a national level or at European level. And proposal for their modification and or enhancements should be suggested where it is required or where it is important. But these are all aspects of relevance for the topic. The topic is has a budget of 64 million, and the projects that are requested are fairly large also, so we are in the range of 5 to 8 million of EU contribution. The type of action is a research and innovation action, so the focus is really on research mostly. And the TRL, we go from a TRL 4.5 to a TRL 6. It is also important to mention, finally, that the eligible costs will take the form of a lump sum in this topic. And in addition, specifically for the steel participants, so the steel stakeholders, to ensure the balanced portfolio, there will be 2 proposals that are in the highest rank that focus on recovery of iron containing residual waste and byproduct using low CO2 processes that will be also funded. So this is to maintain, of course, a balanced portfolio. And this is it from my side. The floor is back to Marco. Thank you.
Alessandra, thank you very much for your clear presentation. For ones who have joined now, we are in the Horizon Europe cluster for Info Days for the Work Program 2026. Currently, we are in the destination leadership in materials and production for Europe. Next speaker is colleague from Directorate General for Research and Innovation, Mr. Javier San Felix. Javier, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Marco. Maybe you can change. Thanks. So the topic I will be presenting is on circular innovative advanced materials, facilitating the transition from design to market. This is a research and innovation action and is implemented, presented by the two partnerships, Innovative Advanced Materials for EU and also Made in Europe. The scope of this topic is to address two specific strategic value chains on mobility and medical devices. And at least one project for each of these value chain will be selected. Within these sectors, the scope and the topic of the text presents a few examples like polymers, composites, magnets, and metal alloys. That doesn't mean that the focus has to be on them. It is up to the consortium to make a proposal of these or other materials that fit into this value chain. A clear part of the objective is addressing circularity and also the advanced manufacturing. This is very important and has to be well addressed. The choice of the materials, this is as presented an option, and I'm highlighting this because this is a question that has been already addressed to us. Then an important aspect as well is that it needs to cover the entire innovation cycle. That means from the design, but also on the development and the scaling up, and very important to have demonstrators on industrial uptake and the integration of this material into the final product. Again, this material has to be with enhanced functionalities. It needs to fit within the scope of advanced materials as we have in this IAM4EU partnership. Proposals need also to take into account the SSBD framework as presented in the previous section from Garbiñe. Note that this framework is being revised, but references to the existing one are still welcome in case the revised version is not yet available while closing this call. Digitalization and the use of digital models and tools for data-driven approaches are also encouraged in this topic. Projects can build collaboration not only with other EU existing ones like the Materials Commons for Europe, which is starting now from the 2025 work program, but also with projects at national level with member states. This is very encouraged for this topic as well. As unexpected outcomes, as you see on the screen, the project should deliver on these innovative advanced materials that are designed for circularity and that can be adopted in products. They also need to look for business models on circular business models for these new advanced materials, addressing the two strategic value chains that I mentioned on mobility and or medical devices. And of course, as part of the circular economy, resource efficiency is part of the outcome, and looking also at standards and harmonization on regulatory requirements. Also, when looking at the circular economy, which this sometimes can be a hurdle to create these business models. The indicative budget is 36 million. We expect 5 to 6 million project contribution per project, and again, there's a research innovation action and expected to start this TRL 4 to 5 and reach 6 by the end of the project. And that's all from my side. Thank you. Back to Marco.
Javier, thank you very much for your contribution to this session. Very clear. I invite participants to engage actively via Slido. Please submit your questions throughout the session, and we will address them after our next speaker, Antonio Fernandez Garcia, presents next two topics. Antonio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marco, and good morning, everyone. My name is Antonio Fernández Garcia, Policy Officer here in the Directorate General of Research and Innovation, and I'm this person responsible of R&I in energy-intensive industries. So I'm going to present first this topic, that is efficient capture, purification, and utilization of CO2 for the production of competitive products. This is a research and innovation action with almost 44 million to fund around 7 projects from 5 to 7 million in a form of a lump sum. The activities are expected to start at TRL 4 to 5 and achieve TRL 6 by the end of the project. As you can see here in the slides, you have the expected outcomes, so I'm going to focus on the scope. This topic addresses the challenges and opportunities in the competitive production of products derived from CO2. There is a need to develop a wide range of CO2-derived products to exploit opportunities for carbon capture and utilization from industrial emissions. The high energy demands and costs associated with these CO2-based products are, in the majority of the cases, due to thermodynamic constraints. However, by integrating CO2 capture, purification, and conversion, it is possible to optimize these processes, reducing energy consumption and capital expenditure. Innovative processes offer the potential to overcome equilibrium limitation inherent in CCU production. Therefore, proposals of these topics are expected to address several of the following 5 points. The first one would be develop new methodologies and technologies for CO2 integration. The second, incorporating renewable energy and innovative management strategies to improve sustainability and cost effectiveness. The third, integrating available heat sources and infrastructure to enhance efficiency. Therefore, addressing CO2 conversion constraints to maximize yield. And the fifth, conducting life cycle and economic assessments to ensure viability and attractiveness. It's excluded from the scope are CO2 conversion to methanol and fuels, and the solution should be demonstrated at lab level and pilot scale, showing improved performance, scalability, and cost efficiency, with a recommended inclusion of a greenhouse gas avoidance methodology. A business case and exploitation strategy should be provided, like the whole destination, highlighting how the proposal supports the industrial decarbonization technology supply chain in Europe. Even though it is a research and innovation action, demonstration and experiments should consider real industrial sites, and also societal, environmental, and workplace implications should be outlined. This topic is part of the co-program European Partnership Process for Planet, meaning that projects contribute to the implementation of its research and innovation agenda. So I encourage proposals to check the topic text and the research and innovation agenda of the partnership. This is one of the 4 topics of the Partnership on Energy-Intensive Industries. The first one was presented by my colleague Alessandra Colli. That was about circularity. This is the second. I will present now the contribution to the Green Industrial Deal, but I would also like to flag that tomorrow I will present another topic about innovative AI methods and technologies for the process industries in the digital part. So if you are part of the energy-intensive industries stakeholders community and you are interested, please attend tomorrow around 12 p.m. If we can pass the slide, I will present the second topic. And this is the R&I in support of the Clean Industrial Deal, the decarbonization of energy-intensive industries. This is a topic that will be repeated this year and next year. The deadline is different. It will be in September. So I encourage colleagues to, stakeholders to read the topic text. This is an innovation action with 125 million to fund at minimum 5 projects from 15 to 25 million. Activities are expected to start at TRL 6 and achieve TRL 7-8 by the end of the project. And as I was mentioned, the topic is located in a different document in the horizontal call. So it is important to review the introduction of this document and also the other topic on clean tech, since there are several novelties in comparison to a regular topic of cluster 4. For that, I also encourage you to check the presentation of my colleagues and co-drafters of this call from DG Clima and DG RTD of the Info Day of Cluster 5 here in the same platform of last 15th of January. actually at 5 o'clock, if you want to go more into when exactly was presented. My colleagues were more into the detail, explaining the policy context, the new features, and the specific requirements of the call. Here in the slides, you have the expected outcomes of this topic. So let me explain a little bit the scope. So this topic is to support the deployment of energy-intensive industry solutions. There are at least 3 areas we need to address that are carbon cycle management, and to improve and demonstrate technologies for capturing, utilizing, or restoring CO2 from industrial facilities. We aim for a 30% reduction in energy compared to existing technologies, and the potential for commercializing the decarbonized product with favorable life cycle assessment and costs. The second area is clean energy usage, enhance its usage in production processes by electrification, integration of clean energy carriers, like, for example, hydrogen, utilizing on-site renewable storage, and upgrading waste heat, targeting improvements by 2035. And the third one is circularity and resource efficiency, increasing the material, energy, and water efficiency by 30%, employing commercially viable technologies. We aim to reduce the raw material consumption, energy input, the freshwater use, ecosystem impact, and emissions using circular networks that transform waste into new feedstock. Proposals should explicitly select one main area to contribute, but they could integrate some other technologies to create low carbon solutions. They should justify the choice technologically and commercially. I say this because to contribute to a balanced portfolio covering the 3 technology areas, grants will be awarded to applications not only or in order of ranking, but that at least one of a project addressing one area will be granted, provided that they attain all 3 thresholds. Now, the proposals are expected 3 things. The first is demonstrate technology integration in a direct or indirect way. A direct way, for example, reduction of greenhouse emissions of a process, or in an indirect way, the production of a new green clean product. The second is show industrial leadership post-project with industry-driven consortia. And the third, include a sound business plan and a strategy for technology deployment and market uptake, addressing barriers before 2030. A clear go, no-go decision moment is required before moving to the demonstration phase with detailed plans, assessment, and market readiness strategies. Proposals must also outline a path for obtaining permits for deployment. This is explained in the info day of my colleagues in Cluster 5. As I mentioned before, they went more into the detail of the call. But there will be a more detailed Q's and answer in the funding and tender portal, with many other clarifications we have collected over the past months to help the proposals. This topic contributes to the research and innovation agenda of 2 partnerships on energy-intensive industries, Processing for Planet and Clean Steel. And with that, I finish this topic as well. And I give the floor back to Marco. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Antonio, for your kind presentation. Now it's time for Slido questions. Please submit your questions. If you want, you can enter your name. It's optional, but please choose the correct room and indicate the topic to which your question refers to. So can someone show the question? Okay, we have first question. According to what I see, this is a question for Nicholas. Is the scope limited to manufacturing technologies and machinery for producing final end products, or whether it also includes key materials and intermediate components, for example, production of carbon fibers, prepregs, and advanced technologies for their surface treatment?
Thank you, Marco. So indeed, the scope is about manufacturing technologies and machinery, because this is made in Europe topic. It is not necessarily for final end products, because it could also be about manufactured components, or let us say a wing. That would be a manufactured a component in the sense of the topic, but it would not include key materials. So not carbon fibers, for example, that would be seen as advanced material, not, and yes, it is manufactured in the broad sense, but it is not within the scope of Horizon of Made in Europe. So the emphasis here is on manufacturing technologies and machinery, including for components that are not the end products. And advanced technologies for surface treatment could be easily a part within the scope as part of the technologies and machinery that we are talking about. Now, let me also take the next question that is closely related to what do we understand by key products. So what there isn't a definition, a commission definition of key products. The topic tries to clarify that to some extent while leaving many avenues open. And it says that the key products and components are competitive. They may have enhanced performance and contribute to European leadership in manufacturing, or that face the risk of being lost because they rely on critical raw materials or parts whose supply comes mostly from outside Europe. So there are several different avenues that would all be within the scope of this topic. But as I said, it is all in the spirit of the Draghi report, which would be recommended reading anyway. So we actually went through a number of iterations when drafting this topic, and we arrived at this not definition, but explanation of what we might understand as key manufactured products.
Nicholas, thank you very much for taking the two questions. Maybe there will be a few more later on, we'll see. Now we have a question for Javier, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly. Javier, this topic implements the co-programmed European Partnerships Innovative Advanced Materials for the European Union and Made in Europe. How this will be depicted in the proposal? What is expected?
Thanks, Marco. So this, what that means is that the selected projects are contributing to both objectives of these two partnerships, as explained also with other partnerships that we have now with joint calls. What is expected from the proposals is that they address the expected outcomes and the scope as described on the text of the call. And this is what they need to do when preparing the proposal. The reference to the partnership is simply that overall, this, as I said, these selected projects contribute to the objectives of the two partnerships. That's it.
Javier, the next question is again for you. Within the scope, does additive manufacturing also refers to recyclable polymers and composites, or only to magnets and metal alloys? Is it mandatory to include additive manufacturing for composites?
Yeah, thanks, Marco. Again, this question, as explained during the text, during the presentation, these are cited as examples. Okay, doesn't mean that additive manufacturing has to be applied for all the materials types that are in the topic text, neither that these material types are the mandatory ones to be included. All this is as example, and it is up to the proposal to select which is the material they want to focus, taking into account the two strategic value chains that are, these are really mandatory, either mobility or medical devices.
Thank you, Javier, and thank you to Lorenzo for his question. Alessandra, a question for you. What does it mean, laboratory level pilot scale?
Okay, laboratory level pilot scale. So we are talking about a research and innovation action over here. So we don't need to go to the real pilot scale of the installation, but at least at a laboratory level, it means really to figure out if what you are proposing is really working. I give you just an example so that we are a little bit more clear. But for example, if you need to understand the effect of contaminants on a specific product that you are designing, or that, let's take a piece of steel and we need to figure out what is the effect of the contaminant. Of course, you want to make at laboratory level a study that can show you how much this is affecting the steel, for example. And this can be done with the test at laboratory level, or whatever type of pilot scale you have to consider at laboratory level. This is a research project, so this is a pretty normal request for such a project to have at least a proof at laboratory level that it can work.
Thank you, Alessandra. Juan Pablo, a question for Alessandra again.
Yes, I think I understand this one.
Is it necessary to cover the entire value chain within the proposal with technological advancements on collection, sorting, classification, characterization, treatment, processing, and reuse?
So the text explicitly says that the development of technology should encompass the entire value chain, from the collection, dismantling, sorting, blah, blah, blah. However, we cannot ask you to address all the steps, but whatever you are doing as your part of the work. So you want, for example, to focus specifically, for example, on sorting and separation of waste. Fine, you can focus only on that part, but in the proposal itself, you need to address and look into reduction of, for example, of energy, of materials, of use of water, throughout the value chain. So how much this that you are studying in a specific part of the value chain is impacting the whole value chain. This has to be a little bit of a view that is going a little bit beyond what you are just doing in your work. So it is important, yes, that at least the impact on all the value chain is addressed, but the work can be focused on a portion of it.
Thank you, Alessandra. Question for Nicolas. Which kind of sectors are priority for this call? Apart from automotive industry, are dual use application suitable for this call?
Yes, the topic is a made in Europe topic, which means that it is about discrete manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. And that said, all manufacturing sectors are eligible, like in all other manufacturing made in Europe topics, with one exception last year. All sectors are relevant and eligible. As I said, it could be the case that the particular technology or machinery may be suitable, applicable, and indeed applied in the proposal to more than one sector. In the case of the automotive sector, we just use a portfolio approach to fund at least one project, but otherwise the topic is open to all manufacturing sectors, like all made in Europe topics. Now, dual use applications, it is very common in manufacturing that the same manufacturing technology is applicable to different sectors, including, of course, defense. But Horizon Europe remains a civilian program, so the project has to be, the proposals have to be about civilian applications. Nevertheless, the technologies may be applicable, may well be applicable for defense. So, for example, you could have a proposal dealing with aircraft wings that would be eligible. Thanks.
Thank you, Nicola. Next question, number 5, is for Javier. The applicant quotes the call text, in particular recyclable polymers and composites, magnets and metal alloys for additive manufacturing. Is there a bias focus on additive manufacturing? Is additive manufacturing here deliberately coupled to magnets and/or metal alloys? Could you please clarify?
Yeah, Marco, I think this question relates also to the one that was previously answered. This is just examples. That doesn't mean that additive manufacturing is only applicable to magnets and metal alloys.
Okay, very clear answer. Hopefully satisfactory for the applicant. Lai asks Nicholas, you mentioned developing a key product from raw materials. Would developing a key product using compound materials rather than raw materials fall within the scope of the call?
Yes, it would fall within the scope of the topic because after all, the topic is not specifically, the focus is not on the materials. It does include the use of secondary raw materials. That is one option. The secondary materials could be compound materials. It depends. But developing the materials themselves would not be in the scope. But yes, developing a key product using compound materials would, of course, whether these are primary or secondary, would fit.
Thank you, Nicholas. Next question, Alessandra, this is for you. The call or the topic highlights industrial urban symbiosis for diverse residues. Does European Commission puts priority on multiple unrelated waste streams over optimizing a single high volume industrial byproduct stream?
Of course, this is not necessarily the case. So it is important to look at the reduction of energy, materials, and water use. If one single industrial project has a huge impact on this consumption, then it's fine anyhow. But of course, the topic is also looking into the value chain and also in connecting not only one sector, but also working across sectors. If there is a single high volume industrial case that is extremely important and has a huge impact on the area of the topic, then it's absolutely welcome.
Thank you very much. We have one more question for you, Alessandra. Could you please confirm whether at least 2 steel-related projects will be supported?
Well, of course, it depends. I cannot guarantee that if the projects are not, of course, above the threshold. So you have to, it is really specified in the topic itself, in the procedure, that to ensure a balanced portfolio covering also support for the steel sector, grants will be awarded to application not only in order of ranking, but also to 2 proposals that are highest ranked, that focus on recovery of iron-containing residual waste byproduct using low CO2 processes. So yes, we will fund also, the intention is to fund at least 2 steel-related projects, but of course they need to be above the thresholds. So this is all part of the evaluation system.
Thank you very much. We have a question for Antonio from Aurelian. It was mentioned that the production of methanol and fuels from carbon dioxide are not included in the call. Does it mean that ethylene wouldn't either be included, despite the fact that its use is intended for the production of chemicals whose transformation is not covered in the proposal?
Thank you, Marco, and thank you for the question. So in the topic text is written that conversion of CO2 to methanol and fuels are out of the scope. So methanol is, even if it's only an intermediary, direct conversion from CO2 to methanol will be out of the scope. About ethylene, well, in principle, it should be part of this topic. But if the ultimate goal or application of the process has something to do with methanol or is one of the main intermediates, it should fall outside the scope as the topic described. However, I would emphasize to the proposals that they explain the state of the art of this technology and what is the innovation that it's, I mean, that they are suggesting to push forward, because this is a research and innovation action, and we would like to see something new that contributes to the expected outcomes of this topic.
Thank you, Antonio. The next question is for Nicolas. Is aluminium considered as a material in scope for the topic number 1?
Yes, it would be, aluminium would be in scope. It is in fact a critical raw material for the EU, but in any case, as the topic is about excellence, including the possibility of using secondary raw materials, it would be in scope anyway.
Okay, clear answer. I hope that Patel is happy with this. Next question is for Antonio. The topic requires to test the proposed solution with one case at laboratory level pilot scale and states that experiments involving industrial sites are encouraged. Could you clarify the expectations for the testing of the solutions?
Hello again. Thank you very much for the question. As Alessandra already explained about this laboratory level pilot scale, the expectation is that you are testing something that is for energy intensive industries that can be implemented in the factories and in the manufacturing facilities that they produce these products. So encouraging experiments involving industrial side means that we would like to see that this happens in the real world. As Alessandra said, we understand that this is a research and innovation action, so no need to go full pilot, but it would be good to see that the laboratory research goes into the actual actual industries. So I think that if the proposal can at least integrate some of the energy intensive industry sectors, for example, from cement to steel to chemicals, ceramics, aluminum, you name it, it would be more easier for the proposal to get selected.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Cecile for her question. Alessandra, a question for you.
I think this we have already I have already answered this one. It may be appearing 2 times.
Yes, I see now that the question has been already displayed, but another one for you. European Commission will select 2 or more projects for iron residues using low CO2 processes. Are these evaluated in a separate subgroup? Is there a specific CO2 reduction threshold for low CO2 in this topic, I would say?
So yes, we, as I mentioned before, we will give priority to 2 projects from the steel sector. How this will be evaluated is, of course, a question that should probably go more to HaDEA. But no, I don't think that there is the intention to evaluate this in a separate subgroup. But of course, this depends on how the panel of HaDEA will be set up. Is there a specific CO2 reduction threshold? No, there is not a threshold which is defined, but we are talking about specifically for the steel project about recovery of iron containing residual waste byproduct using low CO2 processes. So low CO2 processes. How low? This is not defined, but of course we are not thinking about a typical blast furnace. Let's put it that way.
Okay, thank you very much. We have time to take few more questions only. This one is for Javier. Lorenzo, thank you for your question. Expected outcome number 4, quality standards, harmonization, and regulatory requirements are addressed, facilitating simplified market transition. Does this refer to the material/technology or to the final product demonstrator?
Thanks, Marco. That's a very good question indeed. It depends on the final selection of the proposal, and also depending on the sector that they go for, if it's mobility or medical devices, because both have different regulations that apply, like medical devices regulation, or in the mobility, for example, there's end-of-life vehicle directives as well, or batteries directive if they go for applications in materials for batteries, which is part of mobility as well. So it can cover both. It can be related to the material per se, if the project is addressing circularity and recycling, and they want to make use of waste secondary input that requires certain regulation and cross-border trade, or it can be a final product level, which is, for example, a final implant or a medical device that is to be used, and it goes to be evaluated at product level. So both covered. It depends on the final scope and what the project is targeting.
Thank you, Javier. Due to time constraints, we'll take one, maximum two more questions. Next one is for Javier again. Is it suitable for the call that the project develops a methodology for justifying the use of circular materials in the early phases of product development? A question from Kai.
That is not the main objective of the topic, okay? This is welcome, but they really need to target expected outcomes, okay, and part of the scope. This could be, I'm not saying this not to be included, but is not part of what is described in the text, and might not give good scoring in the final evaluation. So put really the focus on what it is asked and what we are putting in the text of the topic, which was presented today.
Okay. So due to time constraints, we will address one final question. Nicholas, this one is for you. Is cement manufacturing scope, if the demonstrator site has already integrated green innovation, but can do more to make it more carbon reduction efficient, would that be considered in the scope of that particular topic?
This is for Antonio.
Yes, I'm here.
I apologize. Antonio, this is for you.
Yes, thank you for the question. If you see in the expected outcomes of the topic text, it says that the proposals are expected to contribute to all. And the second one is to create new innovative first-of-a-kind operational demonstrators or optimize newly installed industrial decarbonization solutions in Europe. So it could be in the scope. The activities of this topic should start at TRL 6. So it will depend on the technologies that you've been testing before in this demonstrator. Cement manufacturing is, of course, in scope. Actually, this is for energy-intensive industries. As I mentioned before, the list is in the in the platform. So cement is one of the sectors that are targeted in this topic. But it will depend on the proposal to explain better how can they integrate this demonstration site into a new one, in a new solution to get closer to the market and to try to commercialize the solutions that will be researched in the project.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Thank you to all the speakers for their presentations and to the participants for their active engagement. We'll have a little break now. We start at 10:45 with two more sub-sessions. One is on technology infrastructure, knowledge valorization and support for scale-ups and startups. And second one is on raw materials, on critical raw materials. So we will be with you in 5 minutes. For those who have asked questions, but questions have not been answered in this session, we will publish the answers in the funding and tender portal under the frequently asked questions section. If you have in the meantime other questions, feel free to to address them via the funding and tender portal, and we will provide you the answers. So short break. In 5 minutes we are back with new presentations of the destination leadership in materials and production for Europe, for the Horizon Europe Cluster 4 Info Days of 2026. Thank you very much. Okay, we continue with the presentations. First speaker in this part of the session that covers the technology infrastructure, knowledge valorization and support for scale-ups and startups is Liro Erola. I kindly ask my colleague from Directorate General for Research Innovation to take the floor.
Thank you very much, Marco, and good morning to everybody. So we will now move to this topic, MATPROD 41. So the title is Enhancing Industry Academia Knowledge Exchange in Social Sciences and Humanities. This is a coordination and support action. The expected EU contribution is 1 million euros per project. And the indicative budget for the topic is 2 million euros in total, so 2 projects could be funded in this topic. So this topic promotes two-way integration between SSH and industry, so helping industry to benefit from the insights of SSH, while then enabling SSH researchers to better understand industry needs and build future collaborations. And this is then reflected in the expected outcomes. So the first one is increased innovation capabilities for industries. So by integrating SSH and ARTS, businesses can become more creative and be able to provide more effective solutions to their R&I challenges. And then on the other hand, they can improve their organizational development and thereby become more competitive. The second expected outcome is improved strategies for bringing new products and technologies to the industry environment and ultimately to the market. This could be, for example, using new business processes, for example, using co-creation with customers or having cross-sector collaborations to accelerate product refinement and market readiness. And the third expected outcome is that through direct engagement with industry, SSH researchers will gain better understanding of industry needs, providing also better opportunities for collaboration. Then regarding the scope, this CSA will support industry academia co-creation for knowledge valorization. These co-creation activities will include, for example, running hackathons, co-creation teams, targeted mentorships, and exchange programs. And these co-creation activities will focus on specific industry challenges, ranging from understanding socio-technical implications of new technologies and innovations, expanding companies' strategic perspectives, creating better understanding of customer needs, also understanding legal requirements and the pathways of bringing new innovations to the market. And the focus is also on strengthening the considerations of social, economic, and cultural inequalities in industry and in innovation processes. Also developing new ideas and innovations and contributing to organizational development, sustainability, and long-term profitability. And these focus areas mentioned in the topic, it's not an exhaustive list, but they are examples. The project will develop a methodology for understanding how various needs from industry, SMEs and customers can be addressed by these knowledge exchanges with SSH. Then regarding the co-creation activities, the project will provide a service to industry and SMEs, including also spin-offs and startups to support solving company challenges with international teams of SSH researchers and students. And finally, to prove that the co-creation between industry and SSH is valuable, the project will carry out a study on the feasibility of industry SSH knowledge exchange to improve innovation management and organizational development. Thank you very much. Back to you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Iro, for your presentation. Now I invite Guillaume Milot, who will present the next 3 topics. Guillaume, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marco, and good morning, everyone. So as you said, today I'm going to present on behalf of colleagues in the team 3 topics on technology infrastructures. Bear with me when I will say TIs for technology infrastructures, as we use this acronym quite often. First, I would like to make a context note. For these 3 calls, it's really important that you follow up the ongoing work made on the actions of the European strategy on research and technology infrastructures that the Commission published in September 2025. Please check regularly our website on strategy because you will need this background context for your proposal. So this specific call on attracting management talent for capacity building for TI staff members looks upon a critical but often overlooked component of our infrastructure ecosystem, which is the human capital in our technology infrastructures. While we focus a lot on the hardware and the research, we know that the success of these facilities depends heavily also on the people running them. So the challenge is that currently many TIs face a gap in specialized management talent. Managing can prove to be difficult when you have infrastructures on multi-site, multidisciplinary, and you need a unique blend of scientific understanding and business acumen for managing them. So skills are not always readily available in the current talent pool infrastructures management. In the same way, our evidence shows that staff and management of TIs may lack understanding of business needs when dealing with industrial partners, especially small SMEs, and this can lead to delayed or inappropriate services offered to industry. So what we are looking for is that under the CSA, we are seeking proposals that will develop a comprehensive strategy to attract and train management talent, specifically for TIs. So we are not just looking for a training program, we are looking for structural change in how careers in TIs are perceived and performed. In the outcomes, we expect to attract talents, so we need to increase the visibility of TI management as a high-value career path. We expect to develop skills, so to develop a curricula that covers everything from intellectual property management and business development to the operational complexities of large-scale facilities. We want also to develop a community of TI managers who can share best practices across the European Union. And all those actions should lead to a better visibility and coherence of TI services offered to users. For the budget, we have a budget of around 2.5 million euros for this call for 1 project. Next slide, please. And on the next slide, we just provide you some important background to consider. As I said, you need to check on the strategy, you check on previous work made, especially by Project Ratify, and similar initiatives that were made for research infrastructures. So as this is ongoing work on the European Commission side and all stakeholders involved, we will expect a lot of going back between you and the safety consortium. We can go to the next topic if you want. So for the second topic, it addresses a major hurdle for our innovative companies, usually the value of dev. Many startups and SMEs have brilliant ideas, but they lack the expensive specialized equipment needed to test, validate, and upscale their ideas. As I previously said, it will be also important to follow up the ongoing work on the actions of the European strategy on research and technology infrastructures. In particular, we expect to publish very soon a European Charter of Access for industrial users to research and technology infrastructures. The topic is about opening the doors of TIs to industrial users that have not experienced the services yet. We want to create and test pilot access schemes that allow innovative SMEs, startups, and scale-ups to use our Europe's world-class technology infrastructures more easily. In the scope of the action, your proposal should involve a critical mass of TI operators and users. You need to develop multi-site access schemes, meaning, for instance, that a startup in one member state should be able to easily access a specialized facility in another member state. Indeed, too often we see small companies unable to access the facilities they need because they are not located in their local ecosystem, and sometimes they are simply unaware of the possibilities offered. So in this call, we are proposing priority areas, but we are open to other high impact sectors. It depends on how you present them, but we are not limiting to only specific technologies. What success will look like for such proposal will be to ensure a simplified access for companies. We need to reduce the administrative and financial barriers for small companies. We need to encourage cross-border use of facilities, so a transnational collaboration will be essential. And ultimately, we want to see these SMEs bringing the innovation to the market more easily, so we want to show that business growth is possible thanks to TIs. So in summary, the goal here is to broaden the user base of our existing infrastructures. And as it is a pilot, we want to prove that these access models work so they can be scaled up in the future. The budget here will be 5 million euros with a contribution of 1.5 to 2.5 million euros per project. So we expect 2 to 3 projects to be selected. And next slide, please. As before, here is just a summary of the other proposal initiative being made now that you need to look at. For instance, we have already single access point developed like OITBs and other network. So please take inspiration and build upon the previously made work. And we expect a similar call to be published next year. Next project, please. So for the last project we have this year on TIs, we want to develop a mapping and service finder for technology infrastructures. It's a very practical but essential project because currently, if an innovator in Europe needs a very specific type of platform to test their ideas, they often don't know where to find it or how to get accurate information about pricing, about services, about how to get there. We have a landscape of technology infrastructures that is too fragmented. And again, it will be really important for you to check the ongoing work on RIs for such infrastructures and technology infrastructures made at European Union level. This CSA will be about transparency and connectivity, as we want to create a service finder for European technology infrastructures. Your project will create an inventory of all existing and ongoing mapping efforts. Will it be European, national, regional ones, as well as public and private? We don't want to reinvent the wheel and create a new short-term project starting from scratch and dying too quickly. We really want that you take into account everything already existing and put it here. We need the applicants to use already done and undergoing efforts, often made in specific thematic areas and or sometimes not specifically addressing TIs only. Once again, TIs is kind of a new object in the open landscape, even if it exists for a long time. So maybe you will have platforms and mapping already done on things that are TIs, but not called TIs. As I said, so we need to take into account the mapping we do in other place. Like for instance, in the action strategy, the Commission is also mapping TIs of European interest. So selected proposals will be expected to actively engage with the Commission and these other initiatives. Then you will consolidate all your collective knowledge into an interactive and user-friendly portal, and the proposal should ensure that at least 5 years of maintenance of the portal is provided, and it should develop a model to make the platform self-sustainable in the long term. We really want to build something that will be durable. So you will need to use a comprehensive and standardized taxonomy of TI landscape, aligning with other existing European initiatives. The platform will need to be open source to ensure that it can be maintained and integrated easily in the future. It must be designed so that an SME manager and a researcher can find exactly what they need in just a few clicks. So you need to be really user-centric. And proposal should also include communication actions aimed at increasing the visibility and uptake of the platform. So visibility will be important. To conclude, this project will be a kind of a glue that will help those actions and TIs to succeed, including the future ones to come. And by making our infrastructure visible, we make them more accessible. The consortium, therefore, should have a sound understanding of the TI landscape and, most importantly, the needs of the industrial users. We expect a project for 2 million euros, and as previously, you have here a list of things you need to check up when you will write your proposal. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Guillaume, for your kind presentation of the three topics. We have one more presentation upcoming with regards to technology infrastructure, knowledge valorization, and support for scale-ups and startups. Please use the opportunity to actively engage via Slido. Please submit your questions. Please be so kind to indicate the exact topic your question refers to. And before we get there, we have Florence Roger, who will present a topic, proof of market to improve valorization and commercialization of Horizon-generated R&I results. Florence, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marco. Yes, so the proof of market topic is what we can call a follow-on funding opportunity. And it is meant to explore the commercial potential of results generated by the framework program. The focus is on the uptake of results from projects funded under Cluster 4, Digital Industry and Space of Horizon Europe, or under the leaderships in enabling and industrial technologies, so the late part of Horizon 2020. The expected outcome is to bring a selection of promising research results produced by this part of the work program closer to the market. The idea is to give a grant of 200,000 euros to about 25 small consortia to help them explore the market potential of a solution. So applicants should apply in their proposals for valorization activities, such as the ones that are listed in the topic text, namely demonstrating a technology, defining a commercialization process, undertaking a market and competitiveness analysis, a technology assessment, a verification of innovation potential, assessing potential end users, testing, piloting with users or potential customers, complying with regulatory compliance and standards, or consolidating IP rights. Applicants should specify for which activities they apply, and they should build a case in their proposal. And the results to be valorized can take the form of tangible products, technology, or services. Something to note is that the consortia do not necessarily have to be made of former or current beneficiaries, but they should own or have access to the knowledge assets of the project. It is also important that the grant number and acronym of the project which generated the results appear in the proposal. And lastly, participation of a business partner is welcome.
Florence, thank you very much for your kind contribution to this morning session on leadership in materials and production for Europe, for the Horizon Europe Cluster 4 Information Days for 2026 work program. Now it's time to go to your questions. I hope that there are questions for Guillaume and Florence. When submitting your question, please enter your name. If this is optional, of course, but please choose the correct room and indicate the topic the question refers to, so that we can address the question to the correct speaker. First question is for the topic number 41. Iro, this is for you. Must we implement all in the call text listed SSH industry co-creation formats, or we can select one or more among them?
Thank you, Marco, and thank you for this question. So basically, these co-creation formats mentioned in the topic text are examples. So you can choose those which then best fit for the purpose, for your context, and by which you can then best achieve the expected outcomes.
Thank you very much, Iro. Next question is for you again. Should the requested study be general, based on previous projects, or specific to the validation of a specific project concept?
Thanks again for this question. I mean, the topic description refers to the for the study, that it's about the key questions concerning the technical and conceptual feasibility of industry, academia, knowledge exchange with SSH. So I would say that it refers to this exchange with what is to be done in the project primarily. So, but of course, it can take into account also studies done elsewhere. So, yeah, so I would build it that way.
Thank you, Iro. The technical team in the background of this information session tells me that there are many questions to be answered. So Guillaume, Florence, and Iro, stay alert. We have some questions to be answered in the next 15 minutes. The next one is for Florence. It's proof of market topic. After registering the proposal, we see the same template that for other calls. Is this correct?
Yes, it is correct. So the template is the template for innovation action.
Okay, thank you very much. Next one is for Iro. Is the topic specific for small and medium-sized enterprises, including startups and spin-offs, or also for large enterprises?
It is also for large enterprises, so not only for SMEs. This is very clearly stated in the topic description when it refers to industry.
Thank you very much. Absolutely, it's very, very important that applicants consult the topic description, the call requirements, general annexes, etc., before they submit their proposal. So it's very important to be fully familiar with the requirements and the rules. Next question is from Hitesh Patel. Iro, this is for you.
Yeah, so
is this call building on all the work that was done as a part of Horizon Starts initiative?
Yes, so I'm not sure what this is referring to. This Horizon Starts initiative, but maybe it is a project, and so it is not building on specific projects or initiatives.
Thank you very much. Next question is for Florence. Proof of market topic after registering the proposal, use the same template and extension. Is that correct? Again, a question on the template.
Yes, so it's the same answer. So the template is the innovation action template.
Thank you very much. Next two questions are for Guillaume. I apologize, not next two questions, but the question about two topics of Guillaume. Can you give concrete example of what technology infrastructure is, I assume technology infrastructure is the abbreviation. Where can we find a list of existing technology infrastructures in Europe? I have looked everywhere on the European Commission site, impossible to find such an essential information.
So yes, thanks for the questions. TIs include, amongst others, what we call test beds, demonstration and testing facilities, pilot lines, or live-in labs. For instance, to give an example, clean rooms, you have some like with European interest, for instance, in IMEC or in CA, so in Belgium and in France, and many others in Europe. They serve as critical pillar of the European Union strategy to achieve technical sovereignty in semiconductor sector, and they are for sure one example of TIs. We have examples of TIs in the strategy that I mentioned several times. You can check the strategy online on the TA website on the page concerning the European strategy on research and technical infrastructures. And you have also a web page on technology infrastructures in the website. So I've asked Moderation maybe to put the link, or we will put the link in FAQ, but you can find examples for sure. In the strategy, you have even examples listed with pictures. So in the communication of the Commission, which is kind of like unusual. So you can find easy examples.
Thank you very much. Next question is for Iro. For the topic 41, should the requested study be general based on previous projects? I think this question has been asked already, if I'm not mistaken. Can please technical team check that? Okay. Number 46, Guillaume. Is it okay to focus on one sector, for example, biotechnology, during the project and expand to other sectors in the dissemination phase only?
Yes, thank you for the question. It's okay to develop your project and your portal in the way you find the most relevant. So you can take at certain point some specific technology already well advanced in this thing. But the important thing that the end product is technology agnostic and expand to all technologies for TIs, so not only biotechnology.
Thank you very much. Florence, a question for you. We noted that this call is general theme of materials, but we had a project in robotics where we developed a new tool. Would exploring valorization activities of such a tool be in scope? Also, can you clarify the funding rate, for example, 70%, 100% for SMEs? Question from Alex. Florence?
Yes. So now, the results of projects eligible are the projects under the cluster 4 and the late part of Horizon 2020. So it's not only about materials, and about the funding rate, it's innovation action. So it's 70%, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you very much. Florence, one more question for you.
Yes. So it's true that in the topic, our definition leaves out the critical raw material projects under Horizon 2020 because they were not under the late, but under the Societal Challenge 5. And I don't know about the, I cannot answer that if it will be included in the 27 program topic.
Okay. One more question currently on the screen. Iro, this is for you. I think this question has been already displayed, if I'm not mistaken. And Iro has replied to that question. But again, we have a question for France. Can you describe better what you mean by a business partner being welcome? Can you give an example, please? Again, a question from Alex.
Yes, thank you. So it can be an SME, a spin-off, any business partner. There is no strict definition.
Okay, thank you very much. This means that there are no more questions for this part. Oh no, there is one more. Florence, stay with us. It's for you. Are large companies eligible for funding under this topic?
So it's not the focus of the topic, but I'm not sure about this question. Honestly, I think it's more for the eligibility part of this info session.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe a colleague can answer, but
it's not bad to repeat what we have said earlier this morning. All questions related to horizontal matters will be dealt with in a separate session tomorrow. So just for you to know, if you have questions of a general nature, please visit the session tomorrow, and you will be assisted with answers. Can pilots or results of an Horizon Europe, for example, CHIPS, I think it's joint undertaking, benefit of this call? Luciano asked this question.
I don't think so, because it's only cluster 4 or of Horizon Europe, or the late part of Horizon 2020.
Okay.
So CHIPS GU, I don't think so. But to be confirmed, maybe. But
okay, if we do not have an immediate answer, we will take your question and we will make sure that the correct answer is published on funding and tender portal under the frequently asked questions section. So don't worry if there is no straightforward answer at this moment. There will be one immediately after in writing on funding and tenders portal. Hitesh Patel, material 45. This is Guillaume. If a university has a large industrial scale facility in aluminium and, for example, in aluminium, and had process facilities and characterization, is this in scope? Does the call cover funds for the cost of access the facilities, for example, the facility staff?
So
and
thanks for the
cost
question.
of running the equipment.
Okay. So thank you for the question. Of course, such a facility is a TI and called in the call, but reminders that it should be multi-site pilot access scheme. So you should have several TIs, several users. So you need to include it in a larger scheme. The call is a CSA covering many of the access costs for users. So of course, you can demonstrate that some access costs also depending of the cost of the facility, but it's not expected to finance all staff costs and running of the equipment. It should help users to get to your facilities and develop sustainable schemes for them to continue to access it after the CSA as well.
Thank you very much. We have one more question. Iro, this is for you. Following the previous question about the Horizon Stars initiative, this was Science, Technology, Arts initiative which wanted arts input into product development and new innovation. Does this call build on this initiative?
Thank you very much. Yes, so this topic is not specifically building on that particular initiative, but it's broader. But of course, the initiative mentioned here is relevant. So those experiences are very likely to be relevant also for this activity, but this is not the topic is not building on specifically on a particular previous project.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank to the speakers for their presentations and the participants for their active engagement. We encourage you to use Horizon Europe work program to consult the document, the text topics on the funding and tenders portal. Please also revisit the frequently asked questions section so that you can get full answers to questions that have not been answered entirely. We are moving to the next session. This is the session on raw materials that will be presented by my colleague from GROW, Mr. Daniel Chosh, for very interesting topics. Daniel, welcome. I hope you are online and you can hear us and see us.
Yes, thank you very much, Marco. Can you hear me?
Yes, everything is perfect. I am changing the slides and the floor is yours. Daniel, welcome.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Marco. Again, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure here to be with you. I will present you the 4 topics on raw materials that we have here, mainly on minerals and metals. First of all, I have a few horizontal remarks to these 4 topics. So on the definition side, what is we often speak in the text on critical raw materials, on strategic raw materials. So first of all, here is a definition of what are critical raw materials. We have a list of adopted in 2023 on 34 raw materials. All of them are here listed as critical raw materials. Additionally, those in the green color, they are strategic raw materials. Usually in the text, we have references to the list, so the topic text also will point you out where to look for them, but these are the ones eligible for the definition. Secondly, next slide, please. In terms of eligibility conditions to our topics, as every year, we have certain limitations, geographical limitations when it comes to non-EU countries. So I recall them here just in case for your awareness. We have groups of countries that are eligible to participate. They are all listed here. You can also write to us directly in case of doubt or further clarifications. Most particularly, I would like to highlight the ones in blue color here. These are the countries with which we have signed strategic partnerships on raw materials, and all of those have also provisions on our cooperation. So we encourage the participation of these countries in these partnerships. And if there are new partnerships that will be signed before the call deadline but are not yet signed now, when the call has been published, those also will be treated as eligible in this context. Yeah, but then again, in case of doubt, you can also write to us directly, and we will publish that also in the FQ, frequently asked questions. Now, going to the first topic on exploration, innovative technologies and tools for exploration and data modeling of raw materials, research and innovation action. We envisaged here around 3 topics. We have 18.5 million to be shared here. Basically, we're looking at generating new data on deposits in Europe. We see the increasing demand for raw materials, which would also mean more extraction projects in Europe. But for that, we need to discover new deposits, to gain a better understanding of the existing deposits, gain more data, more accurate data, particularly this topic aims to support the national exploration programs under the Critical Raw Materials Act. So we encourage building links with geological surveys, with the public administration that is setting up these national exploration programs. We're looking at also this topic to support creation of new companies or existing companies that are dealing with geological exploration. And what is most importantly here, we are looking at technologies, but also to do exploration, but on the other side also on the data itself. So we're looking here at modeling, remote sensing techniques, integrating artificial intelligence, machine learning into the data gathering and processing of data on the geological deposits. in order to build a better geological understanding, better characterization, modeling and mapping, also predicting the deposits. We see from time to time recently more and more discoveries driven by AI, predictive technologies and capacity. So on one side, collecting new data, geological data, geophysical, geochemical data, but also building the modeling behind it to make a better understanding of geological deposits of critical raw materials. I want to highlight this. I mentioned the definition before, so please carefully look at the text. We mentioned here particularly critical raw materials, so that should be the focus of this topic. Of course, often other materials also are present, coexist. So of course we understand that, but please note the particular focus here of this exploration topic should be critical raw materials. And I think we can move to the next topic, which is on extraction of critical raw materials. So we move up the value chain, and I mentioned the need for more raw materials in Europe. So we have also a topic that would enable extraction of more raw materials in Europe, critical raw materials. And a few remarks on my side here. First of all, this is extraction, meaning mining, and we also put the word mining in the text of the scope because to clarify that what should be addressed here is mining and production of concentrates, but not further the value chain. So no further work on obtaining the raw material from the concentrates. Yeah, the work of the project should stop at the production of the concentrate, but not later on. Yeah, because sometimes we get questions on this, so that I want to clarify here. What is important, very important in this topic, one side is the extraction capacity or the technologies to do it, but on the other side we put also here very specific emphasis on reducing greenhouse gases, air pollutant emissions intensity, improving impact on habitat protection, ecosystem health, and biodiversity. So we really want the focus here also to be on the environmental side of things. We put that both in the scope and in the expected outcomes, right? So we look at mining of complex or difficult to access mineral deposits, including abandoned mine sites, and we put some challenges to be addressed here, and particular attention will be paid to safety, environmental health impacts, water use, soil, air pollution, deforestation, biodiversity, all of these kind of things. So please pay attention into this. This will be very important for us. We have targets in Northern Horizon Europe biodiversity spending. So this topic is that's why this topic is also including this in a big extent. What is also relevant, I want to highlight, is in these projects, our projects under this topic, we look at participation of mining industry and end users of raw materials, and it should play a prominent role in these projects. And what we mean by this, and that's listed in the topic text, that means adequate allocation of resources, yeah, of these companies in these projects. So please pay attention to that they are adequately integrated into this in this project, and of course our targeted minerals and metals have to be duly justified. Yeah, the relevance has to be duly justified, and of course priority is critical raw materials, and finally no deep sea mining in this topic. So we only mean inland activities, and this is innovation, research and innovation action. So we have 19 million, again, around 3 projects that could be financed here. So we hope to get the best out of it. Thank you. And next slide, please. So we move from extraction to the next elements, which is recycling. We will have 2 topics on recycling. This one is a CSA, so not a technology focused one, but more on reports, networking, capacity building. What is important for us, why we have this topic? We need much more data, much more accurate data information for policy making on raw materials, on secondary raw materials. So we have the objective of boosting the market for secondary raw materials, but for that we need a better knowledge base of secondary raw materials in the EU and in third countries, including on the potential for secondary raw materials, estimating those resources, their production, where they are, the trade, the refining capacity, but also what's new here, we compared to other years, because we had similar topics a few years ago, it's also the biodiversity footprint of secondary raw materials. That is something also we would like the projects to focus on. The project should develop reports analyzing future trends in raw materials markets, particularly secondary raw materials, identify the supply and bottlenecks of secondary raw materials, improving the intelligence of secondary raw materials and foresight capacity. We really need that to know which industries, byproducts, or where is this potential for secondary raw materials to come from. And for that, we would ask the projects to have a common understanding of the relevant terms and codes, further trade, for instance, that's very important. Develop criteria for transparent, consistent, and objective classification of these secondary raw materials, looking at the biodiversity footprint, acquiring new data on secondary raw materials. For statistics, it's specifically mentioned that the project should develop a proposal for EU statistics for secondary raw materials, so that would feed in a lot into policy making we do at the EU level. We put here particular work streams of secondary raw materials to be addressed. So waste batteries, mining waste, slags, ashes, construction and demolition waste, and also projects from this should anticipate the evolution of the WEEE directive. So that is very, very important for us. Yeah, and we will find one project from this. So this is a CSA with around 4 million budget available. So one project will be selected, and we look forward that this project will help us in policy making, providing adequate data and capacity in terms of the information about secondary raw materials in the EU and in some third countries. Thank you. And next slide, please. We have another topic on recycling, this time not on data, but really on the technology for recycling, and this is an innovation action. So we're looking here at developing technology for recycling, but also again, impacts on biodiversity should be analyzed, particularly for urban mines. So again, I sensitize you to look at also on the biodiversity elements. The focus here on in terms of recycling, because sometimes we get various projects. So please, metals only, particularly critical raw materials, no plastics, no anything like that. Sometimes we get proposals that do not target raw materials, meaning minerals and metals. So it's written here directly that metals only are the focus here. So please pay attention to that. We're looking here at projects that will focus on the whole value chain of recycling processes, so collection, logistics, characterization, disassembly, separation, shredding, sorting, cleaning, refining, purification, and also ending with renaturation of urban mine sites or waste deposits. That's also important to look at this aspect as well. And also we don't want any recycling material of lower quality and functionality than the original one. So please pay attention to this. And this has been also consistent with the previous years. So we also had the same provision in previous recycling topics. And as with the same as in the extraction topic, we look here at having adequate industry representation in this topic. It should play a prominent role, meaning supported by adequate allocation of resources. So please pay attention into this, that you have a very good industrial participation from the secondary raw materials industry. And I think that's all I had to say. Maybe one more last word, horizontal to these topics. I mentioned we encourage participation of countries with whom we have strategic partnerships on raw materials. And we specifically also mentioned Ukraine here. So please also have a look if it's possible and beneficial for you having partners from Ukraine. We also have a strategic partnership with them, but we also want to build links here as close as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for the presentation of 4 raw material topics. Now is the time for participants to ask questions. When submitting your question, please, you can enter your name. It's optional, otherwise it can be anonymous, but please choose the correct room and indicate one of the 4 topics that Daniel has presented, and I already see some questions. Daniel, a question from Alex on the topic number 14. This is the one on innovation action for recycling. It says the topic states that projects should focus on the whole recycling chain, ending with renaturation of urban mines or waste deposits. Could you please clarify to what extent projects are expected to address renaturation?
So in terms of to what extent, that is of course part of the activities to be addressed, but it doesn't have to be a big part of the project if you're asking in terms of the extent. So it's good that it's covered, that it is included, but it can be on the side of things, right? What for us is important here is really the recycling technology, and we are asked here to put that under the scope, the renaturation, but that doesn't have to be a significant part of the project, right? So it's good that that's taken into account. Well, it has to be taken into account, but it can be also a very small part of the project. No?
Daniel, Christina, for the same topic, as critical raw materials are usually only a small fraction of an urban mine waste deposit, is it sufficient to address this as an indirect impact enabled by improved recycling and reduced primary production? And is the reference to renaturation primarily meant within the EU or globally?
Yes. Well, improvement in the avoidance of primary production, I would say that's not enough, because of course secondary raw materials production will decrease the pressure on primary raw materials, so that is happening anyway. So you need to be more ambitious than this, yeah, than trying to argue this way. So please be more ambitious. Then the other part of the question, improving, happen in the EU. The topic's text in the scope says that action should demonstrate new or improved systems located in the EU. So yes, please, that has to be addressing the EU. But of course, if you have also activities outside the EU, additionally to the ones taken in the EU, we would also like to see that biodiversity impacts also addressed in the non-EU countries.
Daniel, next question from Max, again for the innovation action on recycling. Can the improvement of biodiversity also be understood as the avoidance of primary production rather than the renaturation of urban mines?
I think
And
it's the
must
same
this
one.
improvement?
I think it's the same question, no?
Yes, it's the same question. Yes.
Okay, so I guess I already explained that, so we can move to the next
Okay.
one.
So, number 12, proposals must include a business case and a credible exploitation strategy. Given the low TRL, what level of detail is expected in the business case at this stage?
Right, so indeed, this is a lower tier action, so there is still space into full commercialization. So you don't have to be as that much detailed as you would be in an innovation action. the idea here behind having the exploitation strategy is for you to already think about the commercialization and market uptake, right? So we would like projects, but those on the lower TRL, not just to think in terms of research, which is important, but also think about how that can be uptaken later by the industry and commercialized. So the idea here is to incentivize you to think in these terms. But of course, since this is a lower TRL and more work needs to be done after that for the market uptake, it doesn't have to be that much detailed. Yes, that's what I would say.
Thank you, Daniel. Next question, again, topic 12. Mentions developing solutions for mining complex or hard to access mineral deposits. How is mineral deposit defined? And does the call also include tailings, mining waste, or brownfield materials? This is a question from Maria Salo from VTT.
So in terms of tailings, mining waste, and brownfield materials, I think what is important here is to what I mentioned in the beginning. The project stops at developing the mining concentrate. Yeah, so anything further than mining concentrate is not in the scope. So if you're dealing with tailings or mining waste or brownfield materials, please be very careful if this is not working on the obtaining the raw material from the concentrate, because if it is, it's not in the scope of the project. This is how I would approach an answer to this question.
Production 12, you mentioned production of concentrates is in scope. So if there is an innovations that grind the critical raw materials and apply other innovation to extract the critical raw materials, would this be in scope?
So if I understand correctly, the primary activity would be creating the concentrate. But then again, part of the activity could be obtaining raw materials from that concentrate. This is how I read your question. Now, if this is the case, you know, the extraction from the concentrate is not in the scope of the project. I don't know if this answers your question, but this is how I see it.
Thank you. A question from Alvaro Magnon, number 14, innovation action. Scope, ending with renaturation of urban mines or waste deposits. It's a quote from the scope of the topic, and also mentioned in the outcome, proposed solution renaturing these sites. Could you please elaborate more on renaturing and to which cases apply and how?
Let me find that in the text so I can be more precise. So, ending with renaturation. Ending with renaturation.
Daniel, if at this moment it's not possible to give a straightforward answer, we can always answer in writing in the frequently asked questions on funding and tenders portal. So let us take this opportunity and maybe think a little bit more on the answer. And next question, please.
Very good. It might be easier, it's maybe to have it in writing indeed, because this is a thing we add, I think, for the first time. So I think it's good that we have it in writing for everybody horizontally, also who is not here to understand.
It's natural that not all the answers can be given without thinking, so certain aspects have to be considered a little bit more closely. Question for you, Daniel. Which kind of end-of-life products are priority for the topic number 14? Are end-of-life batteries suitable for this topic? We are talking about innovation action 14.
Yes, I think we don't have any specific waste streams addressed. In the past, we used to do that, listing waste streams and products to be addressed, but as far as I can recall, as far I'm looking at the text, we don't mention any specific waste streams. Let me just double check. I think not. No, I don't see that mentioned. So it's up to you to define, and of course, battery waste streams. That fits very well. Yeah, but this year there is no list here to be looked at. So it's really up to the applicants.
Tristan asks, the call emphasizes improving availability. Does the Commission expect a detailed proof of market or business model that accounts for current price volatility in primary versus secondary raw materials? How much weight is given to economic competitiveness of recycled output?
Oh,
This is for the topic number 14.
Yes, I think that's a very detailed one. Let me think. Maybe that one we can also address in writing, because in principle it's not a big part of the proposal, right? Of course, you need to look at the economics of these things and cost-effective practices, but I think I'm not able to explain in very much detail of this, right?
Okay.
Maybe
So,
if we can leave it also for
yes.
the written
So
reply.
Tristan, please check in couple of days the funding and tender portal. Frequently asked questions, and Daniel and his service will provide a concrete answer. Production 14, can battery recycling sites be considered as urban mines?
It's a very good question, because indeed, there is the waste or production scrap from battery production, also other manufacturing services. I'm not sure if in terms of formal definitions that is classified as urban mines. I think it would be good if you would like to interpret it this way. I think you should very well describe it and argument that in the proposal, if you consider battery recycling plant or site to be an urban mine. That's not the obvious, I would say, definition and site, right? To be considered as an urban mine.
Thank you, Daniel. Maria, 14, it's very popular topic today. Is the focus on recycling technologies solely or also industrial supply chains and implementation of novel recycling technologies with industrial partners? Partners that use raw materials, so the end users.
Recycling. I think if I understood correctly what you mean, so the more industrial partners, I would say, the better. It's nice also to have a more horizontal look in terms of the supply chain with relevant industrial partners. Of course, novel recycling technologies are very much welcome here. I think having generally an industrial kind of perspective or view for this project, that will be very much appreciated, given it's an innovation action. So I think, not being closed into one site or one raw materials, but having a wider horizontal supply chain view, I think that could be of value. And of
Thank you.
course, having the users of raw materials, I think that was the last point in the question. I think that could be also a value of having them, the users in the project, or at least having this perspective or taking that into account, who can use the secondary raw materials afterwards. I think that would be very beneficial.
Daniel,
Yes.
Christian asks a question for the topic number 11, but I think it's more horizontal. Is it possible for one legal entity to be partner in two different proposals under the same topic? That's at least how I read that. For example, one proposal would focus on prospectivity mapping at national levels, and the second proposal focused on technology developments for exploration and modeling.
I'm not sure if there are any kind of legal constraints here. Maybe the colleagues in the agency or RTD can refer to that if it's allowed to have in different projects under the same call, the same applicant.
So Christian, tomorrow's session on horizontal issues for sure will give you an answer on your question, but also we will save this question and try to provide written answer under the frequently asked questions of funding and tenders portal. Thank you, Christian, for your question. One more on the screen. First topic, it's exploration one. Regarding the list of 17 strategic raw materials, is a project relevant to the call if it aims to produce an alternative material that has similar key properties for application purposes to the targeted listed material? It's a question from Antoine.
All right. No, well, the simple answer is no. When we mention that critical raw materials or strategic needs to be addressed, you work on those materials. You don't work on substitutes, on alternative raw materials, argumenting that they can have a similar application, similar properties. Yeah, so we'll be very strict here. We are not working here on alternative raw materials to these. So you need to address those raw materials that are mentioned in the call.
Thank you, Daniel. Next question is from Gregoire. Topic 14. Does the ideal consortium cover the whole value chain from collection to the use of recycled material? And does it include a large industrial player, and does it focus on a single waste stream / material? This is kind of a mix of horizontal question with topic question. Daniel, please.
Yes. Basically, the whole, well, it's on the one side, it's a value of having the partners from the whole value chain, of course, and an industrial player, a bigger or smaller one, it's up to you. In general, that's valuable. But of course, you need, I think, what's important, have a look on the project objectives you want to achieve. If it's manageable from having a big consortium, because also we see projects with 10 partners, 20, 40, and of course that also influences how you can manage such a project. So I think you need to balance that, yeah, according to your proposal. So just putting as many partners as possible for the sake of having more, that may not be the most optimal way. But of course, it would be good if you have partners that can address adequately the needs of the projects and the conditions of the topic.
This was our last question, Daniel. Thank you very much, Daniel, for your presentation, and to the participants for their active engagement in questions. Please consult the Horizon Europe Work Program 2026 topic text, funding and tender portal with questions and answers, general annexes of the work program, all possible information data before you submit your proposal. Now it's lunch break. We will be back at 2 o'clock. Actually, our colleagues from Space will be back with you at 2 o'clock. I can only thank to all colleagues who presented and to all participants in this session. And should you apply for any of the 18 topics presented today, this morning, we wish you every success in preparing your proposals, and it was a pleasure to be moderator of this morning session. Thank you very much, and enjoy your lunch. Thank you.